Hi there, this is Dan Weedin. I am happy to be coming to you live again with our uh, week's edition of Weedin Unleashed. Today is September the 8th, 2014, and I'm happy to be here with you today to do some more discussion and conversation about concepts and topics and best practices that can help you and your business. So thanks again for joining me, whether you are coming on live. I know I have a few people who have already RSVP'd that they're going to be here, so that's great. And I know that many of you watch later. That's also fine. This is your reminder that I am coming to you live and in living color from the palatial corporate office of Toro Consulting, which is the room next to my bedroom, my office here. And we come every Monday at noon Pacific Standard Time, and the topic of conversation is always going to be, or for the most part, is going to be whatever I wrote about this morning in my Extra Points. If you're not currently getting my Extra Points newsletter, which comes out every Monday morning, shoot me an email at dan@danweedin.com, or go to my email and get onto the newsletter. Extra Points, Dan. You can go to danweedin.com. So again, today is our newest edition. It is September the 8th, and I'm going to go ahead and get started and at least tell you about what in case you didn't see it, tell you about what I wrote, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. And if we have people on and want to make comments or have questions, we have that availability as well. So today's topic was about discipline. My professional mentor, Alan Weiss, has often preached that there's only two reasons that you wouldn't be wildly successful at whatever it is that you want to do in life. Specifically, if you're a consultant, or if you're a speaker, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, executive, but I think it's about everything. That in order to be wildly successful in life, the only two things that can hold you back, number one is lack of talent, and number two is lack of discipline. And I certainly agree with that. And in my experience, the people that I've met, lack of talent has hardly ever been the reason that's holding anybody back. It's almost never the reason. It's lack of discipline. And I can in all fairness, I can look back over the course of my business career and my life actually and find several areas where I've lacked discipline. It's something that I work really hard on. Unfortunately, I'm a lot like my cohort, Captain Jack, the Jack Russell Terrier, and sometimes can get distracted. And my biggest cause of challenge with discipline is just that. It's distraction. For others, it might be something else, but mine comes around about distraction. And I gave an example for me today. As many of you might know, I'm half Colombian, and I've really been working hard at improving my Spanish. The reason why is because I'm spending more time not only in Colombia, I've been there twice now in the last 3 years, but I'm spending a lot more time on Skype with my relatives, and I would like to be able to become much more fluent conversationally. To add to that, I'd really like to be able to expand and enhance my business by being able to be bilingual. And it's more than just knowing words, it's about being able to be conversational, right? So I've got Rosetta Stone. And I bought it, and for a while I was doing very well. And really what it comes down to is you don't have to do it in large chunks. I set aside and said, look, I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day on it. If I spend 15 minutes a day doing the lessons and then working on at other times when I'm talking to my family, that's really going to make a big deal, because at 15 minutes a day over the course of a week, we're talking over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, almost 2 hours a week. Over the course of a month is 8 hours. Over the course of a year, you're to almost 100 hours. And so that's obviously going to be helpful. Well, it's been probably a month since I've even opened up my Rosetta Stone. And so that's lack of discipline. I tell the clients that I coach, I say, you know, I can't even use that I don't have time, because I do have time. Time is not a resource issue, it's a priority issue. This is actually a priority to me, but it's the discipline that's getting in the way. I haven't been putting it on my calendar. I have not been, you know, giving myself a situation where I actually remember to do it. It comes about forgetting. And I say, you know, I'm going to get to it, and it's something that is important to me, but my lack of discipline, something distracts me, and that's a problem. So today, I put it on my calendar. I'm going to restart. I'm going to do the 15 minutes a day, and I am going to work prodigiously on doing that, and I'm going to let you know how I'm doing. So that's an example in my personal life, although it does have a little bit of a carryover effect professionally, of an area that I have lacked discipline. And because of that, the result is I'm not any better today in my Spanish than I really was about 4 months ago when I was in Bogota last. I need to get better. And so I've got to make a decision that this is about discipline. Well, if you take this as a larger area and say, I'm a business owner, I'm a consultant, I'm a speaker, whatever it is that you do. Heck, you might be in management, you might be a human resource director, you could be in operations, whatever it is that you do, professional, whatever, there are disciplines that you have to do in order to, A, bring in new business, acquire new clients, B, take care of the clients that you do have, 3, get really better at what you do from a professional development standpoint. Those are just 3. There's probably quite a few more. What are some of the disciplines that you've found that you've struggled with? This is a great time. As we're talking about this, I see we have a couple people on. Feel free to, on the right-hand side, you'll see a blue box up that says ask questions, or put in your question here. This is a great time to either maybe share, if you'd like to, share some of the areas that you've seen in yourself, or maybe with others, where lack of discipline comes into place, or ask any questions you have. So lack of discipline is really hard to see unless you know what to look for. That's why having a coach or mentor is so critically important, because I know in my case with Alan is able to see through the interactions with me and say, here are some of the areas that you're allowing yourself to get distracted, where you're lacking the discipline. You have to make it a priority. One of the areas that I've really made vast improvements on, I continue to work on it, but I see as an issue with my clients, is keeping appointments with yourself. You might even go so far as to put a time that you're going to do something, and it's with yourself, and all of a sudden you say, you know what, I can break that because I'm going to go do this. I think it's more important. Well, the reality is that is just as important. Whatever you put on there, it was enough for you to put it on your schedule. So breaking a client appointment with yourself is no good. That's a lack of discipline. There are many forms of lack of discipline. We just talked about a couple of them. I'd like to hear from you. If you're out there, feel free to share, and I'll keep talking while we do this. So bottom line, you need to identify areas that you find are, you have some lack of discipline. Dave just wrote something. I'm going to get to that in just a second, Dave. Thank you. You have to identify first. That's step number 1. In fact, as I work with clients on risk and crisis management, and we talk about things like how do we enhance that part of our business, step number 1 is always identify. I'm going to check Dave real quick here, and then we'll get back to that. Dave says, I have a spreadsheet that I look at next to my computer that has daily, weekly, monthly commitments to my business and me. Dave, thanks for sharing that tip. He uses a spreadsheet that he uses on his computer. I actually have the spreadsheet. I don't print it out. I've gotten actually pretty good. I pull it up every morning. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's on. In fact, it's on here right now. If you were sitting here, you'd be able to minimize this and be able to see my spreadsheet that has my similar type of work on that. And that's something that has been very helpful for me in addition to calendaring. Thanks for the tip, Dave. So number 1, identify the areas that you believe you have some lack of discipline. I can tell you right now, my lack of discipline comes with being distracted and allowing other things to invade my thinking and keep me from finishing the project at hand. That's mine. Step two is analysis. Okay, now that I've identified it, what can I do about it? Is this something like a frequency issue that happens all the time, or is it something that doesn't happen nearly as often but has more severe consequences? So for me, with distraction, that's more of a frequency issue. I allow outside sources to distract me. So I can tell you a couple things I've done. Number one is I don't read my email on a regular basis. I read it on the hour. I've set my email not to generate, not to reproduce, or whatever the word is, except for every hour. So every 5 minutes, I'm not getting email coming in that distracts me. I just worked with a client just 2 weeks ago to do that very thing. We went on together and we made that change. And he's told me what a big difference that has made for him. It's a distraction. So once you've analyzed, or once you've identified, you analyze what is a distraction. You go on and then you say, let's control it. Well, we controlled it with the email blocker, or you control it by making sure that the area around you isn't causing you distraction. That's the part that I still am challenged with as well, and so that might be something for you as well. What are things that you can do to control your thinking? Mine is now even just between my ears. I catch myself and I'm able to pull back. I had a situation today. I was working on a project and I received a text from a client who had a situation they want to talk about. I wasn't done with my project. I text back and said, give me 10 minutes and I'll be done and we'll be able to talk. Instead of picking up the phone immediately and calling and then not finishing the project I had. That's a control function. And then finally, step 4 is you have to continually sustain these things. Find the areas of control that are working and emphasize those. If it's not working, stop what you're doing and keep on working to try to build that discipline. Look, we're all kind of creatures that have a lot of visual things that are coming at us. We have a lot of technology things coming at us. I would submit that distraction is a challenge for all of us. And then that is where a lot of lack of self-discipline comes in. The biggest problem is we don't realize it. So, I mean, I can look at what I was doing with my Rosetta Stone and just get to a point and say, you know what, I've kind of forgotten about that. Darn it, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Instead of doing that, hey, what's in the past is in the past. You have to be disciplined enough to say, okay, I'm going to start here today. I'm going to start where I am today, and I'm going to work towards it. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. I'm going to move forward and continually try to improve my ability to be disciplined. Because I promise you, if you're disciplined in your professional life, it's going to carry over to your personal. Your personal will carry over to your professional. As I've said before, you don't have a personal professional life, you have a life. Again, that's something that I got from Alan. But it's true. And so you know, it's just like I tell people that I consult with, if you have drivers out there who have a couple speeding tickets, they didn't just get caught those 2 times, they speed all the time. So if you find yourself being undisciplined on more than one occasion, there's a good chance that you're being undisciplined in a lot of areas, you just haven't identified it yet. So I'm in about 15 minutes. We've got a couple people who are watching. Dave put a nice note up there, a tip on some of the things that he does on daily, weekly, and monthly commitments so that he has those as a top of mind. So I guess I'll throw out to you. What questions do you have? What other tips or suggestions might you have for those who are looking at ways to be better self-disciplined? What are some of the challenges you've had? What are some of the challenges you've seen with maybe the people that you've worked with? This is a great opportunity to add to that. I'll give you a few more minutes to do that. Here we go. Dave also wrote, Dave, thanks for being such a help today. Speak to setting priorities when there's a gazillion things you could be doing. Thank you. A gazillion's a large number. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to give you a quick example. Yesterday, it was a weekend, I just found myself feeling like I was hurrying up all the time. I don't like doing that on a weekend. I was constantly hurrying, and the reason was that I had a gazillion things I wanted to get done. Even though in my mind I knew I couldn't get them all done over the weekend, they were sitting in my head, and I found that it was ruining my day, so I had to stop doing that. what I ended up doing subconsciously and what I try to do from a business perspective during the week is setting those priorities. You have a ton of things to do. What are your priorities for that day, for that week, and for that month? And I think you can set those all up because they play into that. What I do, for me, some people like to do it the night before. I'm a morning person. I get up in the morning early, I go to the gym and work out, I have breakfast, and then I get started on my day. And so I am at my freshest, I'm at my most creative, and I'm thinking the best in the morning. And so what I do is I take a look at my day. I've got a calendar that I work very hard on, and I start making sure that the priorities that I have that day are scheduled in. That at least the 3 most important things I have to do both in my professional life and in my personal life are going to get done. They're on my calendar and I'm prepared for them. So just as one example, what I'm doing right here today, this was a priority. Not only a priority at 12 o'clock Pacific time, but a priority that goes all the way back an hour before. Because I know for me, I was going to be hungry, so I moved my normal lunch routine back a half an hour to 11:30, and I knew that I needed to end what I was doing at that time. So my priority was not only that this was on my calendar, but I needed to be prepared for it. I think that's part of it as well, and you need to schedule it that way. What are the priorities that have to be done today? Put those early. Get them through as early as possible. Okay, if you are in the consulting business, and I know many of you who are watching this get a chance to see this. If you're in the consulting business, one of your priorities should be the marketing piece of asking for referrals and contacting people and calling a couple people every day asking for referrals. I tell you, get that done early. If you can get that done early in the day and get that off your plate, you're not going to be as distracted. I know I get distracted when there's things around me that I have not accounted for. So Dave's point about setting priorities when you have a gazillion things to do is truly important. Get those 3 most important things that you need to accomplish that day. Get those out of the way, you'll feel better, and then you'll be able to move on. Dave, I hope that I spoke to that the way you wanted to. I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, so anybody else? I know we have a couple people out there watching. Dave, if you have anything else, it's a great time. Whoever else is out there, good time to ask questions or talk about this topic in general. What I'll do is I'll get rid of some more logistics really quickly. This is being recorded. You might be watching it as a recording. All of my Weedin Unleashed get recorded automatically. And this will be up and available minutes after I'm done talking here. I will be back next Monday, same time, same channel. If you'd like to make sure that you are getting the information about this, a good way to do it is to follow me on Google, follow me on Twitter. Google, you just go to Dan Weedin. Twitter is @Dan Weedin. You can follow my blog at Weedin360.com, or you can get my newsletter. Any of those ways, you're going to get advanced notification and the link to, oh, thank you, Dave. He said, good job on that. Thank you very much. You're going to get the link to know that I'm here. I know Dave actually follows me on Google, and so he gets the link automatically, and that really works. So let me know if you need to find access to connect with me. I'm about as easy to connect with as anybody. The next thing I want to let you know is I'm a couple weeks out, September 23rd. I think that's 2.5 weeks or something like that. September 23rd, I'm going to have my very first Weedin Unleashed Summit. It's going to be on, I think it's Tuesday, September 23rd. That makes sense. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow. And it's going to be at the Suquamish Clearwater Casino and Resort. It's just outside of Seattle. If you're local here, let me know that you want to come. It's $99. We're going to have a great group of people there. And we're going to be doing exactly kind of what I'm doing right here live. And so it'll be a lot of fun. Let me know if you want to come, even if you're coming from a distance. We would love to have you. There are rooms available for you to stay at the resort if you'd like. And then the only other thing that I want to bring up is, in case you have missed it somehow, I have a brand new program called the Unleashed Executive Experience. This is for business owners and executives who really want to dramatically improve not only their ability to maximize their own talent and skills, but that of their employees and their entire organization. I had the first 3 people. I'm very excited. Last week, the first 3 people sign up in the first weekend. There is an early bird discount going on until September 20th. So if you have questions, contact me at dan@danweedin.com. We'll set up a time to talk. You can also go to my blog where it's posted right now, Weedin360.com. Look for the Unleashed Executive Experience. So with that, I think we're about 20 minutes in, and I'll give you some final thoughts right now on this concept. Lack of talent and lack of discipline are what will keep you from being wildly successful. If it's something that you love, if it's a passion, then it's probably 99% of the time going to be lack of discipline. We have control over that, but first we have to acknowledge that we do get caught up, we do get distracted, we do need to set priorities, we need to identify the places where we are currently lacking discipline in our lives so that we can analyze what to do about it and set up controls to help us through it. I highly recommend finding a good coach or a good mentor to help you through that, because it's really tough to do that by yourself. I know I don't do it. That's why I have my own professional mentor. I encourage you to do the same. And then finally, you have to set up some sustainability, some things that are going to be in place. Dave mentioned he has a spreadsheet. I do the same thing with some of my sustainability thing. Set up something that's going to keep you sustainable and constantly work at it. It's kind of like a house. I spent a lot of this weekend working on my house because the weather was so nice. It was a great time to do it. Well, I've been in this house 13 years, and it seems that I'm constantly working at something to improve it. This is no different. You're never going to be caught up and say I'm completely disciplined. At least I don't believe that. I think this is an area that we constantly need to be thinking about and working on and trying to enhance. I know I'm going to be doing it. I hope that you will too. So that's it for today. Again, join me next week when Weedin Unleashed comes up on September the 15th. September the 15th, I guess, next week. We'll have a new topic to discuss, and I hope you will join us then. Again, I'm Dan Weedin. Thanks for joining me today, all of you who are out there live, and thanks for watching, all of you who are watching later. I will see you next week. Ciao.